Hey there everyone, it's Kathy Champion and you're back at Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator and I reside here in North Carolina, Gastonia, North Carolina, and I wanted just to come and tell you that being a Stampin' Up demonstrator is so rewarding. Not only do you get to make really good friends with the people that you are able to share your products with, but you also get to try products before anyone else does, which is a great thing as being a demonstrator. Now you might be saying, do I have to sell Stampin' Up to be a demonstrator? The answer to that is absolutely no. You do not have to sell. You can be your own customer. So if you are interested in Stampin' Up and you find that it's a little too pricey for your blood, you can sell to your own self and earn the credit for the products that you buy and get a discount. I mean, it's a win-win. We are coming up on what is considered celebration, and that kicks off on January the 4th, and anyone who signs up during that period of time will receive extra product. You will get $125 in your kit where you can open the catalog and choose anything you want, and you only pay $99, and get this, free shipping. Yes, yes, yes. If you've been wanting a die cut machine, this is the time to get it because these bad boys are heavy and you pay through the nose for shipping on one of these. But if you sign up for Stampin' Up for $99, you can get the $120, the full-size stamp and emboss machine. Oh my gosh. It is, I should say Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, because what it does, it cuts, it embosses, it is a beast. I love mine, y'all know that. I can't sing praises enough. But with all of that being said, I want to show you my host code for anybody that's new to my channel. If you place an order on my online store, that link will be listed below. If you spend $50 before shipping and tax and use this as your host code, and there'll be a place for you to plug that host code in, when at the end of the month, the beginning of the first of the next month, I'll be mailing you out a free gift that will come directly from me. And that is my thanks for shopping with me. So if you do not have a Stampin' Up demonstrator, I would love to help you with any of your Stampin' Up needs, and I'll be here for you. It isn't like you'd buy it from one of these big stores and it's like, oh well, you're stuck. No, I'm here to guide you through if you need help with using your product, whatever it is. I am a phone call away, a text message away, or an email away. So however you choose to get in touch with me, I am there for you. Okay, I'm going to move the host code out of our way. It will be listed below so you'll be able to copy and paste it. And I want to show you what I want to work with today. We are coming down on the final hours, you might say, of our Christmas cards, because I don't think I'm going to do any more Christmas cards after this week. I feel like everybody should have their Christmas cards done by now. We are rounding the bend on what should be the end of our Christmas season, and hopefully you've got your cards out and some of your baking done, and you can kind of sit back and enjoy the holidays. That's what it's all about. And this year's a lot more challenging. I'm hoping that people are sending more cards this year since we're not going to be able to get together. So I thought this Cherish the Season is such a pretty stamp. It's very simple. It's bells, a to and from, which these bells would be beautiful on tags. You got a couple of little bows here, and you've got these sentiments. I love this Merry Christmas sentiment. I've used it on some cards recently, and I love it. This is the die set, Sounds of the Season, that pairs with this. And if you notice what I've done, I've put Cherish the Season on here. And then on the back of this, I've got Sounds of the Season, so I know that this is the die set, because they don't name the die sets the same as the stamp sets. So that's the way I kind of keep track, and I know what stamp sets go with what dies. So I'm going to be using more so this, and maybe, no, I'm going to be using this. The stamp set I'm not going to be using. The Peony Dies. I saw someone use these the other day. I had not noticed this beautiful scalloped border die in here. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. And I thought, I need to use that. So I'm going to show you how I use that. So I'm going to lay that over there. I'm going to use from the Itty Bitty Christmas stamp set, probably Happy Christmas for my sentiment, because I need something small, and you'll see why. And I have this Christmas Means More, and because we're going to be dealing with bells, I'm going to use this on the inside. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. And these are all of these sentiments come from Christmas movies. So you'll have to tell me if you know where these come from. I know this one is from, oh goodness, it just totally left me. And I know the movie, oh my goodness, Jimmy Stewart, okay, somebody's going to have to help me with that, because I had it on the tip of my tongue and it just left my brain. I believe, it's silly, but I believe, I think that was from Polar Express, I think. This one is from Elf, and Maybe Christmas Perhaps Means a Little Bit More, and that is from The Grinch. So I believe it's silly, but I believe, and I can't remember where that one comes from. I'll have to look that up. Good time to Google. Alright, I'm going to move all of this, and like I said, Itty Bitty Christmas, I'm going to move this out because I've done some of my stuff ahead of time. So this would go a little bit faster. I have a piece of Cherry Cobbler cardstock. It is an 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. This is a traditional A2 size card. And from this beautiful paper pack, I think this is a paper pack that kind of went unseen. It is called Christmastime is Here, Specialty Designer Series paper. And I am using a piece from this piece right here. If you remember me doing the Christmas card where I cut that beautiful rose out and put on it, that was from this pack as well. But I cut a strip off of that, and look at that beautiful gold. Isn't that beautiful? And it does pair with the Cherry Cobbler, and our card's going to be landscape in this mode like this. This piece is 5 1/4 by 2 1/4. So I want to put this right on here like that, but it looked like it needed something to help it pop and pizzazz it up a little bit, and that's where this die came in, and I thought this die is going to be perfect. So out of gold foil paper, I cut a strip, and yes, you can lay this wherever you want it so that you can get as much as you need. And what I want to do is I want to glue this on here just like that. And then we're going to trim this off. And I'm going to try to center this up about like that so that when we cut it, it will be fairly even. So something like that. So let's go ahead. I'm trying to decide if I want to use liquid glue or if I want to use the tape runner. And I think I'm going to use my press and seal. And I'll tell you why. Glue and foil don't mix well. It always leaves a very ugly impression on your cardstock, your foil. So I'm just going to run a bit of adhesive across the end of that. And then what I want to do is I want to be very careful because this stuff will stick. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring it right up to it. And this is always so hard to get it just like you want it. But I'm going to bring it to right here. And then once I get it where I want it, I'm just going to press it down. That worked out better than I thought. And then I'm going to come along on each side of this, and I am going to trim this off just like that. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. And then these pieces can go in the trash. I still felt like we needed something to border this right here. So I cut 1/4 inch of the same cardstock, the Cherry Cobbler, and this is 1/4 of an inch by 5 1/4. No, 5 1/2. We're probably going to have to cut this too. Yeah, we are. But what I want to do with this piece is I just want to glue it just right there, just to give that a little bit of a definition between the paper and the gold. And for this, I am going to use my liquid glue, and I am going to grab my silicone craft mat, and I'm going to take this little piece, and I'm just going to run just barely a little glue right down the middle of it. Doesn't have to be straight. I very seldom do anything that's perfectly straight. But now I'm going to bring this over, and I want to lay this down just as even as I possibly can, right across there like that. And I'm going to give that just a minute because I want to make sure that it does adhere. Liquid glue sometimes takes a little bit longer. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing here. We're just going to snip this piece off, just like that. And see, I did get a little bit of glue on that mat, but that's okay, that will wipe off. That's what's so great about that silicone craft mat, and you can use that thing for so many different things. I may do a little informational video on that craft mat one day. I think it would be very nice for everyone to see the advantage of having such a neat little tool. Now I'm going to bring this down pretty low on the bottom, and the reason I want it low is because we are going to put some bells up here. And remember the bell dies that I had out, the sounds of the season? These dies, we are going to do a couple of these and one of these. I think, or two of these and one of these. I've got them already cut. That's the reason I can't remember. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put this on with our Stampin' Seal. Just like that. And I'm even going to come up here to this top edge and run one more line across there because I want this to be sealed down really good and tight. Now I'm going to come right here and I'm going to hold this at an angle, making sure that I've got my little border exactly the way I want it, and then I'm just going to bring that up and press it down. That's the great thing about the press and seal. It goes on so smooth, no bumps, no ridges. It's just, this is an awesome adhesive. Now if you haven't tried it, it comes in the Stampin' Seal and the Stampin' Seal Plus. I prefer the Plus. It's, I think for my liking, it works much better. Alright, the next thing that I did is I went ahead and just die cut these 3 bells, and I took a piece of cherry cobbler twine, and all I done was ran it through and tied a little bow right there. And I think what I'm going to do to put these down, I want to put these down with a glue dot, because I want these to go on here about like that up in this corner, just about like that. So let me grab a glue dot, and a lot of times for little embellishments, your glue dots will be your best bet for putting down stuff like that. And I like to use my Take Your Pick tool because it gives me control. And I'm just going to pick up one of these glue dots, just like that. And I'm going to bring it to the back of my little bells. And I'm going to put it, I'm going to spread these out so I can see exactly where I want it. And I'm going to put it right about there. And then that's going to help hold my bells in place, just like that. And I am going to adhere them right in that corner, just like that. And then you can kind of squish them down. And then we got that cute little bow there. This was not a hard bow to tie. It went together really simple. You can pull your little strings and tighten your little lassos on your bow, if you need to. Just like this. And we're going to trim those tails. That's what I was trying to get this down like I wanted it before I pull anything. Let's see, this is the one that needs to be pulled. Okay, so now these are my tails. And of course one's always longer than the other one. But I'm going to snip that one there and this one right here. And now we're ready to do a sentiment. Now I'm going to introduce a new product to y'all. And I think I showed this to you the other day. This right here is a new punch that's coming out, and it's called the Double Oval. You have a scalloped oval and a plain oval. This is a smaller and a larger, and this is what they look like when they're punched out. Now I punched one out of that beautiful gold because I wanted it to go here. And then the smaller one is going to live on top of that. And see how beautiful this gold and cherry cobbler pairs together. We are going to heat emboss Happy Christmas from the Itty Bitty stamp set. I think it's Happy Christmas. Yep, Happy Christmas. We're going to heat emboss that in gold embossing powder. So I finally, after much ado, I got my embossing powders in, but I wanted to show you, if you're wondering how I got those out without stamping both, rather than putting one large piece of paper in, I like to use small strips, and then you can line them up in there and just clip out the one that you want. The same with the gold. I just took a strip of gold and slid it in, making sure that it was like halfway there, and I did that one in gold. So that's how you can do those and always get just what you need. So thought I would show you that in case you do get one of these punches that are dual, like this one. And Stampin' Up! Does have a lot of the dual punches, and I do love them. Alright, I'm going to take this piece off, and I'm going to move our card over to the side. I'm going to grab my embossing material, and I'm going to bring out a coffee filter, my little embossing powder, or my little embossing sponge. Here is my gold embossing powder. And the one other thing that we need that is most definitely a must for heat embossing is our VersaMark clear embossing ink. Alright, the first thing you want to do whenever you're heat embossing, I got more than I need in my coffee filter, so let's go this way. The one thing you're going to need to do is powder your piece. So if you notice, you see how that just looks like baby powder, cornstarch, whatever. I am going to put a good amount on there because dark colors don't always pair well with this. We need a stamp block. So I'm going to grab a smaller one because we don't need anything real big. I'm going to line up my Christmas right here. Just like that, and then I'm going to pick this up. Doesn't look quite straight. There we go. And I'm going to take my VersaMark ink, and I am going to load this up really good with my VersaMark ink, and I'm going to stamp, hopefully in the center. And that looks really good. Now I am going to bring out my little Stampin' Scrub and clean this off really quick. Nice little scrub. This is an ink, but it's a clear and a very sticky ink. So it gives you time enough, and I'm going to actually use a pair of my tweezers to pick this up with. Two reasons. One, I am going to be heat embossing, and the other is I don't want to get any oils from my hand on this. So I'm going to lay it there in the coffee filter. I'm going to open up my embossing powder. Beautiful gold embossing powder. I'm going to tap that off. And then I think I'm going to do it one more time just to make sure we didn't miss any. Okay. And before I heat set that, I am going to pour this back into my little container and put the lid back on it. The last thing you want to do is bring out that heat gun and blow your embossing powder all over everything. I know it sounds like that I may have done that at some point, and it was a lesson well learned. What do you think? You know, things like that do happen to us, and especially when we're new crafters, we don't always think. So sometimes I sound like I'm a little repetitious in telling y'all things like that, but it's only because they're mistakes that I've made. Now, I am going to get my, this is my heat gun. This is a Stampin' Up heat tool. It has two settings, 1 and 2. Anytime that you're heat embossing, you always want to set it to the highest temperature, which is 2. I'm going to silence you while this is heating up and while I'm embossing, and I'll bring you right back. Hang tight. Alright, we are back. We are all embossed, and look how gorgeous that is. Isn't that pretty? Do you see that shimmer? There you go. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to take my soft cloth, and I'm just going to wipe off any of that little embossing buddy that might have gotten on it. So that cleans that up, and I want to pop this up. So let's bring our card back over, and I think what I want to do is I want to put this down flat, and then we're going to pop that up on dimensional. So I'm going to go ahead and put some Stampin' Seal on the back of this, deciding which side. Okay, so I'm just going to run a piece there, and there, maybe there. That looks good. The little piece that's hanging over, I'm going to push it back. And now I want to make sure that I'm getting this centered just where I want it. And I want it over this way a little bit, about like that. That looks really good. I love that. Alright, now this piece we're going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals. And I think we can probably use the larger ones. Let's see how they're going to fit on there. If not, we can always pull the minis. But I think we have enough of real estate to get by with the larger ones, and probably just 2 will be sufficient. Maybe we'll pop one little one in the middle. Yep, that'll work. And I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool just to lasso these off. Just like that. And now I want to make sure that I'm going to get this nice and centered right over top of this piece. I love the coordination. Is that not gorgeous? Look at those beautiful bells and all of this happiness going on this card. I love it. I think it screams Christmas, and I love that cherry cobbler. It's like a nice burgundy, and the gold accent in this designer series paper, along with me using the foil to cut out my bells. So what I want to do now is I want to find a piece of cardstock, and I think I'm going to use the Very Vanilla. And the reason I think I want to go with Very Vanilla is I don't want it to be too stark of a difference. So I am going to bring over my pack of Very Vanilla, and I'm going to have to cut a piece because I don't already have one cut, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and cut a base, a little card base for inside, and put my cutter on that. Let's grab our trimmer, and I am going to put this in at 4. 5 1/4. And this is going to give us a beautiful inside for our card. And you know what I think I want to do? I think I want to stamp. I said I wasn't going to use the stamp, but why not? Let's stamp a couple of these in the corner. Maybe we can just do that one large one. Let's see let me see if my sentiment's going to fit on here first. Because the sentiment that I wanted to use was, here we go. There we go. And I'm not sure if this is going to fit. We can do it to the side. Yep, that should fit. And I think that's going to be gorgeous on here. And we're going to also stamp that in the Cherry Cobbler ink. So I'm just going to pull this up. This font is so pretty. Yeah, I think I like it to this side. And this one has a bell in it too, with some holly. I'm going to stick with what I was going to do to start with. Now let's see if we have room for this. I think that's a little too much. I think it's going to take away from our sentiment. So let's just go with the medium size bell. Maybe we'll stamp it like that. I love that. Alright, let's get some ink, and I'm going to do the Cherry Cobbler because I want to keep everything coordinating. You know, we could do this in VersaMark and do it in gold. That would be gorgeous there. Alright, let's set that over there because that might be what we do. And this is going to go right here. Just like that. And grab a stamp block. And I'm going to use one that's fairly big. And we're going to need our little Stampin' Pierce mat because we're using photopolymer. So I'm going to set this on here just like that. I'm going to ink up my stamp. Let's re-ink and straighten it up, and let's stamp it right down in this corner. Love it. Isn't that gorgeous? I'll take it to my Stampin' Scrub. I like to just get as much of that ink off as I can. Now this will stain your stamp, but I want to promise you that it doesn't mean that your stamp is dirty. This stamp is completely clean. There's no residue of ink. It's just stained. And I always say that a stained stamp is a love stamp. Alright, we're going to bring this back over, and I'm going to get another stamp block because I want to do this little bell right here, and we are going to heat emboss that. I think it'll be gorgeous like that. So bring my little ditties back out, my heat emboss tools, and I'm going to pick that up, grab my VersaMark, and I'm going to ink this up. Let's use our little powder tool first. just like that. And I'm going to stamp this in the corner like so. Nice pressure. And let's see what I can see under there. Yep, that's a nice impression. Very, very nice impression. All right, here's our little coffee filter again. And whoops, where did my hold go? Right here. And I'm going to open this up again, and we're going to sprinkle that bell. And see right up there, that's where the powder got on it really well, and I wasn't able to get it off, but I'm going to show you a trick. If you're doing heat embossing, especially if you're new at it, I'm going to show you a little trick that can help you get rid of your little boo-boos like that. It's not always perfect, but it's better to do it and not have quite as much of that powder where you don't want it. Alright, that same little brush that I had, I'm going to take it and just rake that powder off. Now try not to hit the places where the powder is supposed to be. But you can clean up quite a bit by just using a little soft bristled brush. And see, I did mess up right there. So I'm going to have to go back in. Took the powder out, so let's see if we can put it back in, and I'm going to try to let it fall this way. Oops. Nope, it still got up there on the place where I didn't want it. But you know what? We are going to just get that away. And that looks good. We're going to go with that. Oops. It might help if I put my embossing powder back in the container. A small thing of this embossing powder will last you a very long time because it only takes a tiny bit. And if you use something where you can pour your powder back into your container, like you just saw me do, and something simple as a pack of coffee filters in your craft room. I lucked out really well because my husband had bought 2 or 3 packs of coffee filters for this new coffee pot, and then we realized that they were not the right filters because the grounds were boiling over in the pot every time we made coffee. So we had to go out and buy the tall, not the cone ones, but just the ones for the bun. And now we don't have that problem. And all of those coffee filters got to come into my craft room. Alright, I'm going to take my heat tool again and I'm going to heat it up. I'm going to silence y'all while I'm doing this, and we will be right back once I get this heat embossed. Hang tight. And we are back. And let me put my tool back where it belongs. But look at that. Is that not beautiful? And I didn't get any embossing powder up here where I was afraid that that was going to show. I love it. I think it turned out beautiful. So now we need to bring it to our card. And we are ready to adhere this into our card. Now, if you notice it looks a tiny bit warped from where we heated it, it's okay. I'm going to use some of the Stampin Seal Plus, and I'm hoping that this is going to help kind of bring everything out. So I'm going to use a piece all the way across and down, and across the bottom, and then here. And then I like to do one piece across the middle, just for good measure. So again, I am going to lay this on the edge like this. I'm going to get my margins. Once I'm happy with it, I am going to, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. That was not what I wanted to do. Let's try this again. My little system didn't work for me really well there, did it? Okay, now this still gives you room enough here to sign. And look at this. I think this card turned out really cute. A lot different from some of the other cards that I've done, but nevertheless beautiful. I love it. I hope you enjoyed watching me make this card. I hope that this is something that you might want to try yourself. And if you do, and you need any of these products to help you be successful in your card making, please go over to my store, my website, and you can browse. You can even make yourself a wish list. If you have a budget, you can do a wish list, and then you can save that, and it will always be there. And when you come back to your site, you will have to sign in and make an account. But once you do that, everything will be there waiting on you, and you can come in and shop a little or a lot, however your budget allows you to. But I think you'll be so pleased with the Stampin' Up products. I love them, and I've told many of you this many times before. I used to be a Stampin' Up snob. There was no way I was going to spend that kind of money for crafting supplies. When I could go to the Dollar Tree, or I could go to Tuesday Mornings, or even Hobby Lobby on a 70% sale. But I am here to tell you that the quality of these stamps, dies, tools, everything far surpasses anything that I have ever used before, and I've been crafting for quite a while. So anyway, that's my plug for the day. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you, like I said, I hope that you're coming down to the end of your busy holiday schedule. It's not quite as busy for us during the COVID days. I'm doing just about all my shopping online and shipping it to my grandchildren and my children and in-laws. It's the safest way to celebrate this year. And with COVID ramping again, just be safe. Everybody wants to be with their family, but it's not worth killing your family for. So abide by the guidelines, and let's all be safe and healthy and happy. And I love each and every one of you so much. Now, if you're a first-time viewer of my channel, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you can be notified every time I put up a video. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you for watching, and thank you for putting up with me while I create this beautiful card. I think it turned out lovely, and I so enjoyed making it. God bless you and keep you, and as I always say in closing, let everything you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is so worthy of our praise and our honor. Until we craft again, bye-bye.